Hi, this is Kelly with Gia's Italian Kitchen. If you have a bunch of zucchini in your garden, one awesome recipe that we're gonna make today, ratatouille. So sometimes I do it on the stove where you can cut up all these ingredients, let it simmer like a sauce on the stove for about an hour. I'm gonna do it this time in a big cast iron pan and I'm gonna put it in the oven. So I have some eggplant. Actually, this is a Chinese eggplant. These are so cute. They're bright purple and I think really fewer seeds. So we're gonna try the Chinese eggplant this time. And then I have a bunch of zucchini from the garden. I have some tomatoes. However, we made some vegetarian pasta sauce, red sauce, the other day. And if you haven't seen that, you can go to our YouTube, Gia's Italian Kitchen, G-I-A. We have a YouTube video on that. I probably put a Facebook post out there as well, where we roasted the San Marzano tomatoes from the garden and put it in the Cuisinart to whip up a red sauce, an easy red sauce, not the Sunday marinara sauce. So you can use that or you can just use some tomatoes. Today, I'm actually going to add some Italian sausage to this just to make it a heartier dinner. So what I'm gonna start with is actually a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of my pan just to prevent some sticking with the vegetables at the bottom. So let me get, you have one of these little brushes. These are cool. It's like you can, butter or egg with this, but I'm gonna use this to just spread the olive oil so it hits every square inch of the bottom of this pan. Okay, and that's really all you're gonna need that for. So I'm gonna just put that over here. All right, I will start with the eggplant since they're already sliced, and I'm gonna just make a really nice, here, let me show you. Let me switch this around. You guys see that? Yeah, there you go. Make a nice layer. Now I'm gonna overlap these like this so that we kind of get some height. We also get a little bit of artistic value to our ratatouille. Because when it's in the pot on the stove, it's just a big sauce, basically a big chunky sauce. So, which is super delicious and it's the easy way to do it. This is a little more artistic, so we're gonna go for it this time. All right, so I've got a nice little circle of all the eggplant. Then I'm gonna take some of the sausage and put that in there. So I'm just gonna take little clumps. Now this is uncooked Italian sausage. This is gonna cook in the oven for about at least 40 minutes. You could even do it longer. Kind of depends on how much you shove in your pan. We're gonna put it at 375. So I'm just gonna put these uncooked chunks of Italian sausage right onto the eggplant because they'll kind of seep, that juice will kind of seep into the eggplant to flavor it. But the sausage is gonna get well cooked in the oven, so we do not need to pre-cook this. So I'm just taking like a little tablespoon off of my ground sausage and putting it right on there. So you can kind of see how I'm just kind of going around and layering this, putting one on each of the eggplant slices. Oh, I can already smell the sausage because you can smell the fennel and some of the other spices in an Italian sausage that just brings me back to my childhood. It's so delicious. Okay, a couple more here. Cool, okay. Now, I have 1 pound of Italian sausage. I am gonna use that whole thing, but I'm gonna layer it. So now, I'm gonna take a little bit of my sauce and drizzle some of the sauce on there so that we're kind of creating layers for the ratatouille. Just a little bit, because I want to save most of my sauce for the top layer because of course it's all going to seep down eventually, right? So I don't want to put too much on the bottom yet. All right, then let's grab, I have a yellow onion. So we're gonna slice up 1 onion. Normally I would slice this and then kind of dice it for doing it on the stove, but since we're not doing it on the stove, and we're doing this artistic little view. I'm gonna cut these into thin rounds and then layer them like I did the eggplant. Okay, so I'm just got my little compost bowl over here, so I'm taking the skin of the onion off. Well, let's see. I'm gonna cut that in half. That might help get the skin off a little easier. There we go. Get that first layer off. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right, and the other half. Okay, so then I'm just gonna slice these really thin. So now we've got like half circles. Now I'm trying to get them as thin as I can so that I can cover all the eggplant, but it really doesn't matter how thick or thin. I would say, you know, if you can, like a 1/4 inch, pretty thin. And then I'm just gonna go around the pan and put these right over where I put the sausage or the sauce so that we've got one on each. And if you have more than you have the eggplant rounds, just double up, it's no big deal. Okay, let's do this other one. Got a little sauce on this one because I dropped it. That's okay. All right, and then we'll put the rest of these on there. Oh, you can smell the sauce. Of course, you can smell the onion now too. Now I have a lot of garlic that I put in my sauce. So if you didn't make the sauce, you might want to put some fresh garlic, or if you don't have fresh garlic, you can do garlic powder, but you want some sort of garlic in there to help flavor this. Okay, let's head to the zucchini. So these are more like squash. This is a zucchini. These yellow ones are yellow squash. You can use either or both. I'm gonna cut these into little rounds. If you did not make sauce, I would also grab some salt and pepper as well as the garlic. We added salt and pepper and garlic when we made the sauce. So if you did not do that, you will want to take a sprinkle and just grind. If you have a fresh pepper grinder, that's best. Some fresh ground sea salt or kosher salt, and then that fresh ground or crushed garlic or garlic powder. So I would do that on each layer. So one on the eggplant, and then one on the squash and the zucchini. This is gonna be so colorful too. I just love this dish. Okay, so now there's the next layer. How cool is that? Okay, now let's head for the zucchini. Now these are obviously much larger. So try to get, I would say again, like a 1/4 inch for your rounds, because you want these to get nice and soft when we're cooking. And if you do them too thick, now if you cook it for 40 minutes, it's, you know, they'll cook, but there's nothing I hate more than trying to bite into a raw zucchini, because they're not really very good when they're not cooked. So you want to make sure that you're cutting these relatively thin so that you have a nice luscious sauce when you're done and everything is cooked through. These kind of look like large silver dollars. They're so pretty. And this one, where it's like kind of yellow, kind of green, so cool. All right, that's probably enough for this layer. So I'm gonna set this aside, and then let's layer this again. Now I'm gonna go all the way to the edge on this, because this is really getting towards the top of my layer. And overlapping a little bit. You can see how I'm kind of overlapping that to make it a little artistic there. Okay, then, oh, almost perfect. I have one extra. Okay, I'm just gonna put that on top. All right, next, let's do the rest of the sausage. Now I'm gonna push some of this down towards the edge of the pan on the inside. And then I'm gonna put some in the middle. So if you're putting it on the edge, like I'm gonna do, I'm gonna push it down a little bit so that it doesn't overflow. Because when I cook this, we're cooking it at a low temperature of 375. So I'm not gonna cover this, but I don't want any of this to overflow. So if you're getting really towards the top of your pan, maybe put this on top of a large cookie sheet so that if it does bubble over, it doesn't bubble over into your oven and make a total mess of your oven, because that is the most unfun thing to clean, right? Okay, so I'm just doing those like a tablespoon kind of the sausage, uncooked, and then I'm gonna put a few on top, in the middle, and if you have a little space there, I'm just kind of shoving it in between the zucchini and the squash. Now, if you don't like any of these vegetables, like the zucchini, the squash, the eggplant, some people don't like eggplant. You can skip the eggplant and just kind of double up on the zucchini. Our family loves the eggplant. So if you have followed any of my recipes, any of my social posts, there is quite a few eggplant recipes over the past year or so. But if you don't like eggplant, you can just replace that with what other vegetables that you have in here. All right, so I'm almost out of my sausage. Actually, I'm gonna put that one on top. All right, so that's it for the sausage. So next is the rest of the sauce. So I'm gonna take all of this sauce. Now I like this saucy, so I'm using all of this, and I'm gonna use this other jar. So I love these bell jars because they can go in the fridge, they can go in the freezer, easy screw tops. I don't like can them, I just close them. I even put them in the freezer like this, so if you have sauce that's left over, you can put it back in these freezer safe bell jars. I just throw it right in the freezer. Okay, and then, so see, you can tell we really whipped this one up in the Cuisinart. And then get all over the top of this. So this is in quantity, probably about 4 cups of sauce. And then just gently move it around so that it kind of gets to the sides, hopefully not overflowing in your pan. And it will, of course, start to ooze down, right, as it cooks, and it'll get in touch with every vegetable and piece of meat that's in here. Okay, so I'm just kind of pushing it down and in a little bit so that the sauce gets down a little bit more, and hopefully I don't have anything that is going to overflow. So now this looks like a big volcano, and I think we're done. So if you want to make this ahead, this is a great dish to make ahead. You could do this and then put it in the, cover it and put it in tin foil or saran, put it in the fridge, and then take it out and cook it tomorrow. It can sit like this in the fridge for a day or two and be totally fine. So that's a great make ahead dish if you have some time today, but you need it for dinner, tomorrow or the next day. What I'm gonna do is cook this tonight. So I'm gonna put it in my preheated oven of 375. I'm gonna cook it for about 40 minutes. When you take it out, it should be bubbly, like a lasagna. That's when you know it's done. Now, since we have the meat in really small pieces, the meat's gonna be cooked and the veggies are gonna be completely cooked because 40 minutes is a long time for a vegetable. So 40 minutes should be good. If you want, you can stick a fork or a knife in the middle and just test the temperature. And if it's not bubbling, then maybe give it another 10 or 15 minutes. But 375 at 40 minutes should do it. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you try it. It is a delicious recipe for all these zucchinis and tomatoes that are coming out of our gardens right now. If you have extra, you could do either this, make the whole thing, or dice it up and then not cook it and then put it in Ziploc bags, throw the whole thing in the freezer for after summer has long gone and you don't have fresh zucchini and tomatoes coming out of your garden. chop the stuff up and save it for fall and winter when you need a nice, warm, cozy dish. Ratatouille will warm you up. So cut and prepare these, store them, store those extras if you're not going to eat it right now. But I hope you do. I hope you love it. Check us out, giasitaliankitchen.biz, B-I-Z. Gia's is G-I-A. We've got our YouTube channel with tons of recipes, videos of us making all sorts of good stuff, and some full dinner episodes where we make an entree and a dessert and all sorts of fun stuff. So check that out. In addition, we have our first cookbook out. We launched just a couple weeks ago, 21 recipes for if you're going into an apartment or you're going off to college. They are some really easy, delicious recipes, some Italian, some not. Very few ingredients, low-cost ingredients, easy and delicious. So check that out. It's right on our homepage, giasitaliankitchen.biz, and gift that today. It's a downloadable PDF, so super easy to grab that and gift to someone who has grabbed an apartment or going off to college. So thanks for joining. I'm Kelly with Gia's Italian Kitchen. Let's get cooking.